Hey Sun Space Sun, I'm Daisy Victoria, and welcome to today's video, which is all about the Burgundian gown, a style found in the 15th century. When we refer to the Burgundian gown, we are talking about a gown worn in the Burgundian circle of the Holy Roman Empire. This region is located on the border of France and Germany. In this region, during the 1400s, there was a specific style of dress which is well known today by historic dressmakers as the Burgundian gown. This is a court gown, typically characterized by fitted sleeves, though you have sort of a big sleeve of the houppelande, which is kind of related. And that one is the variation I did as my medieval Cruella project a while back, so I'll link you to that if you want to see how I made that one as well. The Burgundian gown is a loose outer garment which is belted at the waist, and we typically see a trim of some sort of fur or velvet, and the gown also features a deep V neckline. Now, I love this style of gown, and I love the hats. They look just like all those fantasy fairy tale princess hats that we used to see as kids, and it turns out they actually do come from something real in history, so how cool is that? Now, I wanted to do a new Burgundian gown, and I found this beautiful pink and gold brocade. Absolutely had to have it. So I got to work cutting out my pieces. They're actually fairly simple. They are the pieces I show in my houppelande pattern drafting tutorial. They're also kind of a less fitted version-ish of the medieval kirtle. So for this particular gown, I've got the front and back pieces of really long back gore. I've got sleeves, and I'm also doing it such that there's a train in the back because we do see a train on most of these dresses. This fabric is a synthetic based blend, though I really think it looks a lot like silk brocade, which is why I went ahead and went for it. It's really, really pretty. And I'm deciding to not line my gown. That's a choice for me based on my environment and what I think works best for the events I plan to wear this to. In period, these would typically be lined, and in fact, that's often what you see as the fur peeking out at the bottom, and in the sleeves or the neckline, that's often a lining peeking out. So you can absolutely line your gown if you want to. Keep in mind that period gowns in this region would have, as far as we know, been lined. To sew the dress together, I'm first inserting that gore into the center back. So I'm sewing it onto one side and then I'll sew the other side together as well. I sewed the sleeves because I'm gonna set those in separately into the sleeve openings. And then I'm sewing basically the gore into the center, so between the two back panels, and sewing the back panels up together above that gore, and then I'm sewing the front panels onto those back panels. And in this particular gown, I don't have any side gores, though sometimes I do use those as well, but in this one, the only volume I needed is what's already cut into the pattern. So I've got the side seams and the shoulder seams, and next I'm going to set in the sleeves by just sewing those into the armholes. And then finally I'm going to hem. So I'm hemming the lower edge, the sleeves, and the neckline. Next, it's time for my fur trim. I am only doing trim, not a full lining. This is actually a holiday decor trim that I found on clearance at Walmart a couple months back. And I knew it would be perfect for a Burgundian gown, and I think the sort of mottled gray look goes well with the pink. So I'm going to go ahead and use it for this gown. As a bonus, this trim is actually wired, so given the fact that I have just a single layer of fabric, I'm going to be able to use the wiredness around the bottom hem to give me a little bit more structure. Now, obviously, you get a wired trim, you can remove the wire, you can leave the wire, whatever you want. I am machine stitching this trim on because I don't think that the stitches are really going to be visible anyway due to the look of the fake fur. And I got things to do, so I typically like to do as much machine sewing as possible, and I only hand sew when absolutely necessary for my own preference or aesthetic. So here's what the gown looks like all laid out with the fur trim attached. And here's what it looks like worn over top. of that kirtle I made in the last video, which I did intend to not only be a dress that can be worn alone, but also the underlayer for this one. And finally, here is the hat, which I actually already have, and I made this for my Elizabeth Woodville costume a couple years ago, and I do have a video showing how I made this hat as well, so I'll link that to you if you want to see how I constructed the hat. I absolutely love this style of gown. I think it just feels so pretty and fancy. And this is one of those gowns that really got me interested in the Middle Ages from a young age. In fact, when I was a little kid, one time for Halloween, my mom made me a dress, which was entirely based on this style of dress here. It was like a modern fantasy version, and she made it in pink because I picked all the colors and I always used to like pink. It had a pointy princess hat and everything, so I kind of feel like I've come full circle to that dress that my mom once made me, and now I have the adult version. I've had a couple of Burgundian gowns and houppelons before, but this one is pink, that one was pink, so here we go. This is like adult version of what I wanted as a child, so I guess not much changes, does it? This particular dress being so pink also reminds me of like a Medieval Barbie, so I feel like I have become the essence of Medieval Barbie in this dress, and I kind of love that. Now, when wearing this whole outfit together, there would be underneath first a white linen chemise or shift, and then you would have that foundational kirtle or cotehardy layer on top of it, and then you'll have the Burgundian court gown worn on top of that as well. So there's really 3 layers here in this look. And then the hat, which is modernly referred to as a hennin, though that word did not yet exist in period, is worn attached to that loopy band that you see there on my forehead. And again, if you want to see all about how this hennin is constructed, and I'll link that video so you can go ahead and watch that if you're more interested in the details of the hat itself, because I do think the hat is pretty freaking cool. So, just saying. If you have found inspiration from this project and you do something with it yourself, I would absolutely love to see what you make. Please share it with me. You can find me on all the social medias as Daisy Viktoria. My website is daisyviktoria.com. And a special thank you to my patrons over on Patreon who help me so much to continue creating amazing content like this. And we also now have a Discord server where you're welcome to chat with each other, share tips and tricks and inspiration, ask each other questions, help each other out, whatever you like. Just have a great time. So I'd love to see you there as well. And I hope you all have an absolutely magical day, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.